The DA in KwaZulu-Natal has re-elected Francois Rodgers as their provincial leader. His election has come just 15 months before the general elections next year. Let's bring in Mr. Rodgers now to talk about that re-election this weekend. Thank you so much for making time, and congratulations on your re-election as KwaZulu-Natal DA leader. You have a new mandate now to take the DA to greater heights in that province. What's the plan?
Thank you, Clement, and good afternoon. Thank you for the kind words, and afternoon to your viewers. Yeah, not the country, KwaZulu-Natal. Yeah, it was a great victory, and it was a resounding indication that we're on the right track in KwaZulu-Natal, and that our mandate is quite simple. With 2024 looming around the corner, with the decline in the ANC in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and with our very proactive engagement at this point with the IFP, we're all poised to look at bringing about some fundamental change in the province of KwaZulu-Natal post the 2024 election.
Mm-hmm. You had goals when you were first elected into this position. Out of those, what were you able to achieve in your first term, and what did you not achieve?
Well, I think fundamentally what we've done is we've solidified our support. We've looked at new markets in voter support, and if one looks at the internal polling that we do in the province, clearly we are trending currently just 10% below the ANC, who've dropped well below 40%. I think that was one of the targets that we set, and I'm happy that we've achieved that. Obviously, there's a long way ahead. One of the other objectives I had was to start identifying and building an opposition bloc in the province of KwaZulu-Natal to look at bringing about a new government. And I think we've certainly achieved that with the IFP. We have a road ahead, but we're positive and things look good.
What role has the DA played in the KwaZulu-Natal province in ensuring accountability on the part of the governing party there? Top of my mind comes, this recent school nutrition scandal that has left thousands of people across the province, without food. How have you intervened as the opposition in that province?
Well, Clement, I was in fact on your television network a week or two ago, where we were exposing some of the problems that were being faced with the school nutrition program. Obviously, we have a hands-on spokesperson in education, Dr. Imran Kika, who's in the legislature with me. I've had engagements with the Premier, as has Dr. Kika with the MEC of Education, and we've certainly highlighted the challenges that are experiencing and trying to put solutions forward, because ultimately, the children shouldn't suffer because of political blunders and blunders caused by the ANC. So I think we've been very hands-on in the province and exposed the challenges that are facing us, particularly in the school nutrition program.
And just still on that, what's the best way to resolve that, Mr. Rodgers? Because the person who owns the company that was a service provider has now come out to say, Mr. Manzini, Zungu has now come out to say, well, we haven't walked away and terminated our contract with government as suggested by the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. And they're saying to government, you've got to pay us, in fact, because you haven't even paid us for some of the services that we have rendered. So it looks like there's still a stalemate, and one wonders whether this is going to continue impacting on those thousands of school children who need this food.
Clement, I think there are various aspects to this. I think there's been some operatives in our province who were part of the national feeding scheme, who are probably trying to destabilize the process because they're losing out in remuneration on the entire project. So, I think there are various aspects, but I think the most important thing that the ANC needs to do, in the MEC and the Premier, is to ensure that we've got systems now in place, whether you want to call it disaster food management feeding schemes, that need to get out there and ensure that come Tuesday, when our children go back to school, that in fact the nutrition is there. Because the process of now identifying where the problem is going to take months. We saw that with the blanket saga during COVID-19. The most important thing now is to get a system in place that our children don't suffer anymore, and then somebody needs to be held accountable. And we need to identify who was behind this collapse in the feeding scheme in our province.
Mm-hmm. John Steenhuisen said at that conference that the DA has to have its best election results ever in 2024. This is what he believes is needed for the moonshot pact that he proposed. Are you having conversations at the provincial level about the possibility to also club together as opposition parties?
Indeed we are, both at a provincial level and also at the level of eThekwini and Mzanduzi municipality, where one of the tasks I was given was to build opposition blocks so that we could try and mobilize opposition parties to have a bigger influence, play a bigger role leading up to 2024. So we certainly in KZN have led the way when it comes to building these opposition blocks. And as I say, our bilateral arrangements and agreements and discussions with the IFP are a long way ahead. And we're building on that to give the people of KwaZulu-Natal the possibility of changing government and bringing about a more effective government and more responsive government in 2024.
Francois Rodgers, thank you for making time for us. He has been re-elected as the leader of the DA in KwaZulu-Natal.